Very good morning to you. It's Thursday, September 15, 2022. I'm Andy Johnson. Welcome to it. This is how we're going to begin in a moment with today's edition of the program AM Prime here on WESN. We're talking in the second hour with two people, Mr. Dax De Silva and Ms. Suzanne Lacan-Batiste. Mr. De Silva is the founder and CEO of an organization called the Age of Union, and Ms. Lacan-Batiste is the managing director of the organization known as Nature Seekers. They have teamed up to provide assistance to what is called in Trinidad and Tobago to what is called boosting the green economy. We'll hear what he has in mind. He's donated a lot of his personal resources to projects like this in different parts of the world, and he's concentrating here now on Trinidad and Tobago with Nature Seekers to protect the green economy, to boost it, as a matter of fact. That's in the second hour. In this first hour, we're talking a little bit from now with Ms. Shirley Cook, the director of one of the directors of the organization known as Tobago Civil Net, and they were pretty active in the elections which led the PDP to take control of the Tobago House of Assembly, and they're speaking out now on what is apparent in this style and the breakdown of the leadership of the PDP, the row between the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine, and the political leader of the party, Watson Duke, and a lot of commentary is taking place on that. We're talking to the people from the Civil Net this morning about it, Ms. Shirley Cook. But we will begin in a moment from now with a discussion taking place between the Minister of Finance and the Mayor of the Chaguanas Borough, Mr. Faiq Mohammed. He's saying that the minister knows too well that there's money there in the corporation, but it's not to spend on development works. There's no money for that. The money the minister is talking about, Mr. Mohammed says he knows that is to pay salaries and that can't be used for anything else. So we'll get a sense of what's behind that, the discussion between the Minister of Finance and the Mayor of the Borough of Chaguanas. We have your staples as well, the Newsday poll, the question and responses, and we take a look around the region in a couple of steps to the extent that is possible this morning. Those things and more in the program. Stay with us. We're coming back.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit? Yes. What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive, it is not rehabilitative.
We the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, it's for all of us in public.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
Talking to Dr. Michelle Khan. She's a health and wellness coach. What your practice entails, what it means to be a health coach, what kind of patients do you see, and what does this practice involve?
Healthcare to me is very holistic. It definitely takes place in the doctor's office, but how you maintain that is what you do at home. What is the energy within your body? What are your beliefs about your health and wellness?
With me now I have Karen Forbes, another member of the Senior Women's National Football Team.
What's up, Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Chantwell Vibes, a musical tribute to Andre Tanker, Saturday, September 24th, 2022, Central Bank Auditorium, showtime 7:30 p.m., featuring 3 Canal, Mavis John, Ataclan, Empress Ajay, Stacy Sobers, and panist Natasha Joseph. Tickets $300. Available at Crosby's Music Center, St. James. Extra Foods, Rima, Grand Bazaar, and Endeavour. Online at Island E-Tickets. Committee members at 678-2843 or 482-3111. Central Bank box office on the day of the event. Mart's Liquor Palace, Diego Marte Main Road, La Puerta. A musical tribute to Andre Tanker. Saturday, September 24th, 2022. Central Bank Auditorium. Showtime, 7:30 p.m.
Welcome back to the program. In the opening, I said this was a dispute between the Mayor of Shogunas and the Minister of Finance. In fact, it's the Minister of Local Government, the former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi. The Minister of the Mayor of Shogunas is accusing Mr. Al-Rawi of, I'll tell you what he says there. He's stressed to sue the Shogunas Mayor. The Mayor said it is a blatant that Mr. Al-Rawi has a political tabanka for the office of Attorney General. The issue has to do with monies that are made available to the Shogunas Corporation, and indeed, as if we look at the extended situation, the central government's financing the operations of all the regional corporations in the country. Shogunas probably is not the only one in this case, but this is a dispute about money is said to be in the coffers at Shogunas, and the Minister Al-Rawi is suggesting that that money is sufficient to pay salaries or to do developmental and other kinds of works. And the mayor of Shogunas is saying that it is ridiculous for Mr. Al-Rawi to suggest that the corporation has money that it refuses to spend on salaries. Nothing could be further from the truth, and a discussion is taking place among them there. Mayor Mohammed is with us now on the line. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right, so give us a sense of the background to this issue as to where it is and how did it end up on the front pages of the newspapers.
What is happening at the Shogunas Borough Corporation? Faris keeps framing this issue. This is biased narrative. This issue is not whether the CBC is willing to pay workers, but whether it's fair for the government to withhold releases from the Shogunas Borough Corporation's budget to pay workers and insist that it's spent on spent balances that can help build bridges, alleviate funding, patch some potholes on the probable roads within the borough of Shogunas, and upgrade the market as well. The unspent monies, which the minister is referring to, was never meant to pay wages and salaries. As the ministry, the government, the ministers have a duty to release funds to make these payments. They under budgeted and under allocated to the Shogunas Borough Corporation. So that is where we are with it. And that is the main issue here. It's not that the corporation doesn't want to pay our workers. It's that this government is under budgeting the Shogunas Borough Corporation and many other corporations throughout the country, and it is not fair for the
Right.
corporation.
Well, you say here, or you're reported as saying here that the PNM is discriminating against the UNC-controlled corporations. So you think that, from what you know and understand, you think that those corporations that are within the fold of the PNM are treated any better?
Well, we are not hearing from them. We are definitely not hearing from them. You're only hearing from the UNC-run corporations. So it leaves us to believe that we are being victimized.
Well, it could be that the people in the PNM-controlled corporations have a reason for not speaking out, because maybe they would be victimized even more. They'd be punished even more.
Even when we have meetings with, sometimes we have meetings with the minister, like we had a couple of meetings with the minister. It was in the UNC corporation, but that would speak out about these releases. And this meeting is not televised or anything like that.
Yeah. So you say that the minister is well aware that your corporation has a shortfall in personal expenditure of over $3 million and an overall shortfall of approximately $6 million. And that's just for what period? This year or
that's the period for 2021, 2022. This financial year that we are in here right now.
When you say he's well aware of it, he knows what has been allocated as opposed to what was requested, or that this has been brought to his attention by you all?
This has been brought to his attention on many occasions since he came into office. He keeps requesting information, and every time information is requested, we send information. Even when information is not requested, we send because of the urgency.
Yeah. So is it a situation in which workers at the corporation are not being paid because there's a shortfall in revenue or in allocations?
What we were doing in Shogunasburg Corporation today, we are having a meeting, and we are going to figure this out.
Today?
Yes, today we have a meeting of council, and we are going to sit down with our CEO, our financial officers, and we are going to try to get a solution for this problem. Because a solution doesn't seem to be coming from, a proper solution doesn't seem to be coming from this government. They say they want to use these monies under unspent balances. However, this is unfair to corporations. This is unprecedented, basically. The government has a duty towards the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, especially the workers of the borough, and they are falling short on their responsibilities. What will happen, right? The question would be now, what will happen next financial year or next year when there's a shortfall and there's no unspent balances? What will be the situation then?
Yeah, so you say you have no unspent balances as we speak?
No, we have unspent balances. Like I said, the issue here is the government is under budgeting their responsibility.
Yeah. And the balances that you have are not...
capital expenditure. There's capital expenditure and there's current expenditure.
Right. And on the current expenditure side, the government is not meeting its commitments.
We have a deficit of $6 million.
And that's just for this operating period, this year, this financial...
Yeah, that's it. That's for this operating period here.
What is the sense of... I was going to say aggravation, but what is the sense of discomfort that you're getting from those people on the council who in that situation?
What is happening, it's very frustrating to run an organization when you're always in a deficit, because you have to basically give up things to have the everyday running, to meet the everyday runnings of a corporation. Sometimes, so during this financial year, we as a corporation with 8 electoral districts, we were only able to purchase 12 tons of mix per electoral district. That's 1 truckload of mix per electoral district for the entire year.
And
you can understand the frustration on the right purchases and councillors, because how could you satisfy a whole electoral district with 1 truckload of mix to fix all the bad roads within your electoral district?
So that roads that are in need of repair and touching up are not getting that attention because of this?
Yes, because of our shortfall and our late releases in allocation under the recurrent finances.
And to back up your point about, you say this is an example of discrimination against UNC-controlled corporations. Is that the same in other places? Let's say Couva, Tabaki, Telparo, and Siparia.
Let me just draw this to your attention, right?
Yeah.
Shogunas Borough Corporation has a population of 100,000. Point 14 has a population of 50,000. And in this financial year, Point 14 was budgeted 70 million. Shogunas was budgeted 71 million. Do the math and you tell me, is that discrimination or no?
So that is an example of what you're talking about.
That is a clear example. Even the size of Shogunas is greater than Point 14. And I have no issue that Point 14 is getting 70 million, none at all, you know. But give us what is just due to us.
So because the area, the geographic area of the borough in Shogunas is much wider than it is in
Exactly.
in Point 14.
The population is bigger and the geographical area is bigger. But yet still, they get the same amount of money as us.
Okay. So on what basis the Minister of Local Government is threatening to sue then?
Sorry? Pardon, I didn't get that.
On what basis is he threatening to sue?
I really don't know.
But he said that?
He didn't say what basis. He just threatened to sue. So.
When you say he has a political banker, what do you mean? You say he has a political banker for the position of Attorney General. You're saying because he's talked about...
Because Reliance really can't seem to get over the fact that he's no longer in that position as the Attorney General. So he needs to get over that and serve local government properly. Address these issues that the UNT Health Corporation are highlighting.
What are some of the things, apart from infrastructure works and so on, what are some of the things that are not being done that are required to be taken care of because of this shortfall?
What corporations, especially the UNT Health Corporation, what we need is money. We need the releases from the government. And we need it to be in a timely manner. Because without money, you don't have manpower. And without money, you can't buy materials. And without these three things working together simultaneously, it's very difficult to achieve and to do anything in corporations. Even in life, in business, in life, it's very difficult.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get a sense of what are some of the things that are required to be done that are not being done because of these shortfalls in expenditure.
Some of these? Sorry?
Some of the things that are required to be done that are not being done, not being taken care of because of, well, and the shortfall, one would expect that from what you're saying, it's
so
chronic.
like, for example, mosquito spraying. We can't do that because we don't have the sufficient allocation in our recurrent to buy the chemicals. We also, well, road passage, as I mentioned before, the shortfall on PE.
Yeah. People are getting paid, though, on time? And
after the last fortnight, people got paid.
But that could become an issue because it says here that...
we will not allow it to become an issue. I can assure you of that. I can assure the workers of that. Because we are fighting for them and we will do what it takes to ensure that they get paid.
To whom does a person in your position, and you're the head of the corporation, and this situation is taking place with the Minister of Local Government, who in fact should be an advocate for the local government bodies, and from what we see here...
Our minister should be our representative. In his first press release, he said he made representation for us in the media budget. However, why are we having this conversation today if he made representation for us? He said he made representation for all 14 corporations, but we are having this conversation here today. Why? If proper representation was made by the minister, why are we having this conversation today?
Yeah.
This is not the first time that the Sugar Board Corporation had shortfall. And the last minister was able to get supplemental funding for us. So what is the issue with this minister?
You think he's not doing his job as he should in terms of being the advocate in the cabinet for local government organizations?
Like I said, in the past we were able to get our supplemental funding, but what happened this year? Under this minister, under his watch.
You think, I was going to ask whether you think he has an axe to grind with you or with somebody in the borough, but you're saying that this is a pattern, this is an example of the pattern of how the party in government is treating the corporations under the control of the UNC across the board.
Across the board, yes.
All right. Well, we have to see how this turns out. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you for having me this morning.
The Mayor of Chaguanas, Mayor Faik Mohammed, in what is seemed to be a fight, at least on the question of words thus far between himself, the corporation, and the Minister for Local Government, the former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi. We will take a break, and when we come back, we share with you the Newsday question and the responses as we go forward with today's edition of the program. On the other side of that as well, our discussion with Ms. Shirley Cook, a director in the Tobago Civil Net organization, about the row at the top level in the party that is in control of the THA, the PDP, the Progressive Democratic Patriots. A war between the Chief Secretary now and leader of the party, Watson Duke and Farley Augustine. Stay with us.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com. From the best strollers, car seats, baby carriers, high chairs, booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship McLean. Shop online now at thebesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 332-BABY. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Chantwell Vibes, a musical tribute to Andre Tanker, Saturday, September 24th, 2022, Central Bank Auditorium. Showtime, 7:30 p.m. Featuring 3 Canal, Mavis John, Ataclan, Empress Ajay, Stacy Sobers, and panist Natasha Joseph. Tickets, $300. Available at Crosby's Music Center, St. James. Extra Foods, Rima, Grand Bazaar, and Endeavour. Online at Island E-Tickets. Committee members at 678-2843 or 482-3111. Central Bank box office on the day of the event. Mart's Liquor Palace, Diego Marte Main Road, La Puerta. A musical tribute to Andre Tanker. Saturday, September 24th, 2022. Central Bank Auditorium. Showtime, 7:30 p.m.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time. We told you we had to deal with Ms. Shirley Cook of the Tobago Civil Net Organization. We're not making contact with her. Ms. Cook, if somebody who's tuned into this and listening to this, if we could get a message to her that we really want to be talking with her this morning. But in the meantime, let's take a look around the region, see what's happening in other countries. We start with St. Lucia, where we are told the supply of brown sugar is making a steady return, but the importation of white sugar remains a major challenge.
The Baker's Delight, white sugar, is on the list of ingredients needed to make pastries, other sweet treats at the delicatessen. As accurately reported by Newsforce last week, the island recently received a huge consignment of brown sugar. While the state has lodged some success in stabilizing the supply of brown sugar, the importation of white sugar is more acute.
I'm glad you call it a stabilization, but as I've reported in the past, we have a team focused on getting rice, flour, and sugar into the country. I think last week we received some 13 containers of sugar. We will continue. We still, our source in Guyana have not been able to supply us up to now with sugar. We have one source from Belize, and now we have been able to get a second source from Belize. So we just have to keep our fingers crossed and to see. We now have brown sugar. We still have a challenge with white sugar.
Commerce Minister Emma Hippolyte says the department is attempting to increase the capacity at warehouse storage facilities to ensure the supply of sugar remains at optimum levels.
At the moment, we are looking at new warehouse space, but at present, the 13 containers that's going to be on island, we would be able to distribute it and stock within the existing space.
The Commerce Ministry, in the wake of the supply chain disruptions, has been able to expand the network of export suppliers of the commodity. However, concerns have emerged over the quality of the sugar imports.
Can you speak to the quality of the items coming from?
Well, I cannot speak to the quality. There's a bureau of standards that determine items and quality of items. But as you know, we are brought in the sugar all the time. There are different levels and grades of sugar, and most times it's what you receive on the market.
No timeline was given as to when St. Lucia will receive its next shipment of brown and white sugar.
All right, well, let's just tell you some of this now. There's this story in today's edition of the Newsday. It's headlined, "The PDP, quote, disappointed in Fale." Let's give you a sense of what this story is saying. The party breaks its silence over the power struggle, what some people are referring to as a power struggle between the leader of the party, Watson Duke, and the man who is the chief secretary in the Tobago House of Assembly, Fale Augustine. And Mr. Duke has vowed to take action against him, to oust him from the party and therefore from his position. And Mr. Augustine has been saying over the last couple of days, at least he's been reported as saying, well, bring it on, Watson, if you can. The Progressive Democratic Patriots has broken its silence. That's the story in today's Newsday newspaper. The party's chairman, Dr. Sean Ned, said he stands in defense of the stability of the organization days after its political leader, Watson Duke, began publicly criticizing the PDP-run THA and the chief secretary, Fale Augustine's leadership. The public feud began after Duke slammed the THA for, quote, neglecting 27 members of the Roxborough folk performers by leaving them hungry, quote unquote, and allegedly sleeping in the streets of New York. Augustine has denied Duke's version of events and promised to review his responsibility as Deputy Chief Secretary. That is Mr. Duke. Mr. Augustine has vowed to review Mr. Duke's position as a Deputy Chief Secretary in the Tobago House of Assembly. How this is playing, there's been a lot of commentary on it over the last couple of days with people, elders and others in Tobago saying that this is disgraceful and it is unfortunate to be happening at this time. We're talking now with Ms. Shirley Cook. She's a director on the organization known as the Tobago Civil Net Group, and that's a civil society organization in Tobago. And they were quite active in expressing support and to some extent encouragement for the elections that took place in December. Leading up to this position. Some of them are presumed to be people who are not necessarily aligned and look at what is seen as the welfare and the betterment of Tobago as a whole, whoever is in charge. Ms. Duke, we thank you very much for joining us in this discussion this morning. Good to see you. So let me ask you, how do you come down on it based on what you know to be the situation as it exists?
Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for having me. First off, I thought I'm here in the capacity of an independent,
yes.
And not necessarily as a representative of the Tobago Civil Net.
Okay.
Although I'm a member.
Yes.
I would like to voice my opinion as an individual, as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago and a resident of Tobago.
Okay.
It is clear, and it's a sentiment, as you indicated, of many, that this is truly an unfortunate situation, and it is truly embarrassing, particularly to the people of Tobago, in the sense that Tobagonians have kept a political party to run the Tobago House of Assembly for the last 21 years, and they have finally made a change last December. And they made that change and gave a resounding mandate to the political party, the Progressive Democratic Patriots. And that spoke to the level of frustration and the need that Tobago wanted change. And therefore, to have this, to have entrusted that level of confidence in this political party, to have to control the executive and to run the affairs of Tobago has been truly unfortunate and disappointing. And, you know, it goes to show that no matter what we do, even though we try to choose the right person for governance, it speaks to the kind of culture we have and the kind of way that we select and elect our representatives. Now, luckily, the THA Act under which the administration is governed does not really allow for much political interference in the actual running of its affairs. But we have to remember that governance does not only include the physical and physical development of a nation. It's also a psychosocial development of a people, so that they can build the capacity to develop not only the island, but to develop themselves. And we look for examples in people who can do that. And what we see is really a lack of leadership exposed on both sides of this debacle. And I say that to say that what has happened here has clearly shown that even though we do not know all the information, it is clear that there has been an undercurrent within this political party, not the THA administration. Within the political party, there has been an undercurrent for a while. And therefore, this recent outburst is a reflection of that. And I say that to say because of the consistent wranglings back and forth between the two. That in itself really shows that the inexperience, the youthfulness, and possibly the inability to get counsel and guidance from the past elders, I would say, it has been lacking. In addition to that, the foundation upon which, the vehicle upon which Tobagonians trusted, which is the mandate, the ideology, the philosophy of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, that mandate, that idea has basically has failed people at this point, based on their wranglings.
All right, so when you say that, so there's a failure of those at the top to get guidance and counsel from elders and so on. You're not discriminating between these two gentlemen. You're saying both of them showing signs of a lack of appreciation of the value of guidance and counsel from more wise heads.
Look, in life, in any organization, when you pass the baton, when the baton is passed, when we're trying to progress, we're trying to develop in any nation, in any country, there are persons who have gone before you who understand to some extent the path that have been traveled. And there are people, despite our level of, I would say, for lack of a better word, immorality in the society, there are persons in the society in high standing who the nation respect to be unbiased, to have some level of decency and merit, that, you know, these young leaders can reach out to for guidance. First off, if I had to advise any of these two gentlemen, is that first off, to stay off the media, particularly social media, and to basically get themselves in the back room, in a boardroom, and to really trash out what it is that has been so egregious to each other that they have to bring this out in this manner in the public. And I think that is the immediate thing to do. And I hope that they stop making social media commentaries back and forth with each other, and settle down, because what people need in government and in governance is stability, and therefore that is lacking at this point. So that would be my advice to them. In addition to that, remember that the present youths have blamed the past leaders for the debacle that this country is in, and therefore they have an obligation to ensure that the future generation does not blame them. And it seems like we're going down in that road. So I'm cautiously optimistic that at this point, because of the trust and the level of confidence we had in this administration via the political party, that they are going to understand that this is critical, this is important, that they get together, find some common ground, and move forward.
To what extent you may know of any attempt by some of the people in those groups, the groups of elders, the groups of professionals, and other sort of Tobago focused people in Tobago, trying to come together to reach at least the two principles in this, to do exactly what you're saying there? To what extent you know of any movement trying to get to them to say, look guys, come, let's talk this thing through and see how we can go forward on more amicable terms?
I lost a little bit of your question there, because I didn't hear all of it. But if you can repeat that, I'll appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm asking to what extent you know of any discussion taking place among concerned elders and concerned people who have walked this path before to find a means of bringing these two guys around the table and talking these things through.
Well, according to the chairman of the Political Democratic Patriots yesterday, on one of his interviews, have indicated that they are internally, the party is trying to reach some kind of conciliatory or agreement between the two, and I'm really appreciative of that, and I look forward to it. It's exactly what we need. Egos need to be thrown out the door, because this is not about the ego and who should be in power. This is about the need for Tobagonians to finally, there's so many things that Tobagonians need over the years that has been neglected, hence the reason why this change occurred. And it is really unfortunate that they have gone down this road. So yes, the chairman has indicated that internally they're trying to resolve this, and they must resolve this forthwith. This is not something that you sit around and play. If it takes 24 hours going straight in the back room, cultural group to the United States in itself, and the whole how that was even handled is another reason, and it's reason for review of how NGOs and civic organizations are being supported. And there has to be some change in the policy and procedures of how that is done, and a little more transparency and accountability of that process. And I know that the Chief Secretary has indicated in his first press conference after the Deputy Political Leader, Mr. Watson Duke, made his utterances in New York. He indicated a review. So I hope and trust that that is forthcoming, because the entire situation, though all of it is not clear, it is really not clear to the population what transpired with this group. It's, there was just some information, but for people to grasp exactly what has happened, whether it was 400,000 they received, 700,000, what was the actual amount promised, we know none of that, and those things has to change. In addition to that, there are many civil organizations in Tobago that require support, and I tell you something, the idea of building civil society does not only require that the government throws money at them at every little begging. They need to build the capacity of these people, of these organizations, so we do not have to go to the government begging all the time. Yes, there's need for support, but the inequity of supporting one organization over the other has been something that's been happening over the years, and that's need to stop. There are so many things that need to fix in Tobago. It is just amazing that we have to be sitting here talking about the wranglings between two political leaders, in which the people have fully entrusted their governance.
Yeah, and Mr. Ned, as the chairman of the party, he says, he's quoted as saying here, he stands in defense of the stability of the organization, but later on in his iteration of the issues here, he's saying here, it must be the norm that in spite of disagreements with the political leader, the role and functions of the political leader must be respected as the individual with the burden of setting the strategic direction of the party, so on and so on. So whereas he's saying, yeah, go ahead.
I absolutely agree with that, because you see, there have to be some kind of order and structure in any organization. Imagine that the deputy political leader of the People's National Movement totally disrespecting the Prime Minister. This should not be. There has to be a sensible, mature way of dealing with issues as they come up. So if that is happening, it is clearly unfortunate. And yes, people have to understand, based on the Westminster style of governance that we have, we use party to get them into executive positions to govern our space. And therefore, these parties' leadership, the executive of these leadership, ought to be respected. That is just how it is, because we use the vehicle of political party to get them into governance, and people have to understand that. And if the leadership of the party who has enabled persons to be in the executive, if that leadership is not respected, there is going to be a problem with the governance and this kind of debacle. So again, get back to basics, get back to the boardroom, sit down and discuss what it is that is so bothersome in how the executive is disrespecting the executive of the political party, and resolve that. It's as simple as that.
All right, Ms. Cook. Thank you very much. We're gonna have to leave it there, but thank you very much for your contribution on this matter. Shirley Cook.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Speaking in her own personal right here, but she's a director on this organization called the Tobago Civil Net. We will take a break as we head up to the top of the hour. Stay with us.
Nuance Security and Solar Systems Limited, ensuring value with renewable energy solutions for all.
We make sure you're safe to drive. Motor Care and Maintenance, MCM Limited, for all your vehicle repairs, diesel and gas, approved inspection station. The Guide family has been serving TNT for over 80 years. JE Guide Funeral Home and Crematorium, 2 locations, San Fernando and Princestown.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I am Denise St. Clair. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. WASA working on flushing valves after water discoloration. 2 more murders under investigation. Charleville man held with AR-15 rifle at home. Former THA chief weighs in on rift. And internationally, WHO chief says end of COVID-19 pandemic is in sight. Now for the details. Residents in central Trinidad are being advised that the discoloration in their water supply is due to pipeline scouring caused by additional valving operations associated with the Point Lisa's desalination plant shutdown. WASA is currently carrying out flushing exercises along the distribution system in order to minimize the occurrence of further discoloration over the duration of the shutdown. Police are investigating another murder, this time in Karapichaima. Reports say a man identified as Terry Jagdeo was gunned down in Korea Village. Meanwhile, in Barrackpore, a woman was gunned down. Kristen Paul was shot and killed while seated in a van at Mohes Road in Barrackpore. Police are yet to ascertain a motive for the killing, but are investigating whether it was linked to the recent murder of her common-law husband. In July, Amit Budu was chopped and subsequently died following an altercation with another man. One man was arrested and a high-powered rifle seized by officers of the Port of Spain Division during an anti-crime exercise conducted in the Charleville district on Tuesday. Acting on information received, the officers proceeded to a house at Cemetery Street, Charleville, where they executed a search warrant for illegal firearms. The search resulted in 1 AR-15 rifle and 10 rounds of 5.56 ammunition being found and seized. A male suspect who was in the house at the time of the exercise was arrested in connection with the find. Former THA Chief Secretary Ho Choi Charles is of the belief that the media is creating its own narrative of the PDP-THA rift between Watson Duke and Farley Augustine. He's of the opinion that this entire incident was planned by one party.
So something is wrong. So it is not, in my view, in regard to my journey in this life, that there is something else in the mortar beside the pestle. And it is not the whole question of the team going out there and there is no accommodation that triggered this. And may I just say, I am confident, I'm not giving an opinion, that this was all planned. And something triggered it.
In international news now, the number of newly reported cases of COVID-19 has dropped dramatically. The head of the World Health Organization has said, urging nations to keep up their efforts against the disease that has killed more than 6 million people. He said that we have never been in a better position to end the pandemic. Newly reported cases of the disease, which has killed millions and infected 606 million since appearing in late 2019, last week fell to the lowest level since March 2020. Well, that was your news to the hour on WESN. I am Denise St. Clair. Thanks for watching.
Chantwell Vibes, a musical tribute to Andre Tanker, Saturday, September 24th, 2022, Central Bank Auditorium. Showtime, 7:30 p.m. Featuring 3 Canal, Mavis John, Ataclan, Empress Ajay, Stacy Sobers, and panist Natasha Joseph. Tickets, $300. Available at Crosby's Music Center, St. James. Extra Foods, Arima, Grand Bazaar, and Endeavour. Online at Island E-Tickets. Committee members at 678-2843 or 482-3111. Central Bank box office on the day of the event. Mart's Liquor Palace, Diego Marte Main Road, La Puerta. A musical tribute to Andre Tanker. Saturday, September 24th, 2022. Central Bank Auditorium. Showtime, 7:30 p.m.
Welcome back to the program. Up ahead from us this morning, we'll be talking moments from now with Mr. Dax Da Silva. He's the founder and CEO of an organization called the Age of Union, and with Suzanne Lacan-Baptiste, Managing Director of Nature Seekers. They're talking about something called boosting the green economy and Nature Seekers' contribution to that. But before we get there, let's take another look around the region. We go to Grenada this morning, where the Prime Minister is doing some visits, conducting some visits across different districts and areas and constituencies in the country. Look at that.
Even with a heavy government workload, keeping in touch with the people is critical. That is the consensus of Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell and his team, which undertook the first in a series of community walkabout in St. Patrick East and West on Friday. The plan is to maintain connection with the people and hear their concerns, as well as recommendations and suggestions that can improve their villages. The visit by the Prime Minister and his team was well received.
We're going good still. Keep it going, yeah, we call candy, nutmeg and cocoa. I'll see you having them good days. Yeah. That's part of the plan. Take your time. So far, no problem. Bless you. Make another part. No, yeah, promise me. I try to come everywhere, so.
Parliamentary Representative for St. Patrick East, Dennis Cornwall, joined by Senator Tessa Sincere and Honorable Gloria Thomas, led the team to various points in the constituency. Minister Cornwall told GIS, although government has a lot of work to do as a new team, keeping in touch with the people is of paramount importance.
We are saying to the people of River Sally and surrounding areas that we have their back, meaning that we didn't get into office just to basically sit in the offices in St. George's to carry out our duty. There are times we have to make time to basically meet the people where they are. I know we've had only 3 months in office thereabout, and you hear a lot of our parliamentarians being told that they can't find them and they can't see them and they're calling them and they can't reach out to them. So we want to just show them that even with our busy schedule that we have.
All right, well, let's tell you something here. In the Age of Union Alliance is an organization led by a Canadian tech leader and environmental activist, Mr. Dax Da Silva, and it is partnering with a local organization called Nature Seekers. They are a non-profit community-based organization in the village of Matura. They are focused on protecting nesting sea turtles. In 2021, Mr. Da Silva, the founder of that organization, Lightspeed Commerce, pledged significant support sums of money from his personal wealth to global conservation and restoration projects around the world. He's come to Trinidad and Tobago to work with the people at Nature Seekers, and they're talking about protecting the sea turtles in Trinidad and Tobago. We're talking about that this morning with Mr. Da Silva and with Ms. Suzanne Lacan-Baptiste. She's the Managing Director of Nature Seekers. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
All right, so let's start with you, Mr. Da Silva. Give us a sense of how you came to choose this project in this country to provide that support.
Yeah, myself and the Age of Union team, we visited Trinidad for actually one of our retreats to start to plan for the year. We're investing in conservation projects all around the world, and while we were in Trinidad, we decided to look at some of the best projects we'd heard about in the country, and we just really fell in love with the mission and the execution around what Nature Seekers is doing. Such an important conservation project for the world, for endangered leatherback turtles. This is the most important nesting site on Matura Beach, and the organization is really well positioned to protect these turtles for future generations of turtles and for us. And so, we decided over the next few months to find out how we could better support their planning. And we announced that $1.5 million USD investment over 5 years in their operations with Suzanne and team.
Yeah, and you just called the figure there, $1.5 million US, and to this organization with a focus on the conservation and protection of sea turtles. And the notes I have before me here say, among other things, that this would be the single largest private donation in Nature Seekers' history. The Age of Union support will be instrumental in protecting the endangered leatherback turtles whose nesting grounds on Matura Beach are more in danger than ever before due to climate change and pollution. Ms. Batish, you want to come in there on that?
Definitely. We at Nature Seekers was really on the verge of collapse because of the COVID-19 rude invasion. For us at Nature Seekers, it was very difficult because conservation work of itself, it's highly expensive. It takes a lot, especially Matura Beach being 8.8 kilometers. It's a lot of human resource, a lot of capital to be able to financially continue our conservation, which we so dedicated to our time for the last 30 years. With the intervention of Age of Union, through their generous gift, it was something that rejuvenated and gave us a lot of hope. It's not that we didn't have support from our own local government and so on, but because of the pandemic, it took a lot of precedence in our country. The health sector, everything was shut down. Our beaches was totally closed. There was no way of generating income. Our income generation program deals a lot with outdoor activities on the beach itself. So totally Nature Seekers was in a financial dilemma. Because of our activities on social media, where we had a lot of networking and so on, I believe this led to the Age of Union knowing about us, and as their mandate states, it's so much about having the right platform to reach out, to be able to do something about conservation, this endangered species. And at Nature Seekers, it's not only the protection of the turtles, but creating a sustainable platform for our community in Matura and by extension our country. We were, our culture dealt a lot with poaching, a community of poaching. And over the decades, Nature Seekers created a new culture, because cultures are created over time and practice. Our new culture is to protect and preserve. We were able to move from ex-poachers and children of ex-poachers into an ardent conservation dynamic project. So having this culture now where we were able to use these resources to create sustainable livelihood, it really crippled Nature Seekers. It really put us in a real down position. So now that we have the gift of Age of Union, we can actually look at even more innovative means and ways of engaging the community in its fullest sense, understanding more about this species. There's so much more to learn about leatherback. Leatherback in itself is an elusive animal.
So what you mean is that after
Yes.
doing all this work, you're saying that there's much more to learn. Probably
There's
it's the only
so
part of
much.
the country where you have this kind of activity going on. I want to get to your point about wanting to create a more stable platform for doing the work. But let's talk a little bit about what to me is fascinating, because it says that the Matura Beach is one of the last remaining major turtle nesting sites in the world for leatherback turtles, which have existed for, you have the figure there, over 100 million years, dating back to the age of the dinosaurs. And you talked about the fact that they are 2.2 meters in size and so on, the largest sea turtle species in the world. Give us a sense of how you came to, what the importance is and the significance of it, that this, as it is said here, is one of the last remaining sort of refugee places of refuge in the world for these turtles, coming from wherever they come from.
Because of the IUCN ruling and the data that was collected over the last couple of years, we have seen drastic decline based on the longline fishing, the gill net fishing. Turtles are being captured in large numbers. In many of the larger populations like French Guiana and Suriname and Mexico, their population has drastically declined. When you look at the decline in Trinidad, it's just about 6+% of our population has decreased. So the hope for this species is in Matura. And Matura Beach being a 8.8 kilometer beach that have so many turtles nesting on a nightly basis. once the proper mitigation systems are put in place, there is hope for this recovery of this species, because we are so much nestled in the Northwest Atlantic population, and most of the turtles nest in Trinidad, especially on Matura Beach. So what is happening? We are poised to ensuring that this species is intact based on our conservation practices, based on the intervention of funding we can now implement and patrol Matura to ensure that the adults are safe and that as many hatchlings as possible return to the ocean. So Trinidad is one of the hope for this species based on the Northwest Atlantic population.
Right, and you think they keep coming in these numbers, reduced as they might be, because they instinctively know that this is safe ground and they can come here. One imagines that you say that you call the other places French Guiana and so on, because they continue to be poached there, and their sense is that they know where it is safer to come as opposed to where it is not?
I would not say that totally. What I would say, based on the amount of gillnet fishing, the over commercial fishing of these to create sustainable livelihood to the fishing industry, there's a lot of incidental bycatch. There's a lot of taking in of turtles, and we have a high mortality at sea. In these countries, there's so much trawlers and fishing vessels that it has depleted the population drastically. And this was only noted a decade after how much turtles were being killed, when the statistics started to come in and where is this population going. So it's so important to continue to monitor the nesting beach, know what the population is like. So in the event that we have a drop in the amount of turtles that are coming in, we can look at what is causing these factors, what is happening with our species and so on.
All right, Mr. De Silva, let me just quote something I'm seeing here in the notes I have before me. When I first met Suzanne Batiste, the managing director at Nature Seekers, I was incredibly inspired by her determination and perseverance to help shift this coastal community in Trinidad from turtle poaching to turtle conservation. We hope that with Age of Union's help, Nature Seekers will now be better equipped to protect these beautiful endangered turtles through their incredible migration journeys, also have connections to Canada. Can you expand on that a bit, Mr. De Silva?
Yeah, I think what's beautiful about this project is that this can be the leatherback turtle is a joint responsibility of our two countries. They nest, of course, in Trinidad, and as Suzanne described, Trinidad is the big hope in the world for the longevity of this species, the long-term protection of the species. But the leatherback turtle, we see, using GPS and satellite tracking, 60 to 70% of them end up on the Atlantic coast of Canada, where they feed on the jellyfish, which actually improves our fishery because the jellyfish predate on the small fish. And so the leatherback turtles can double in size, and this is where they receive all the energy to do all of the nesting that they do back in Matura. So this is our joint responsibility as two countries to conserve this species. And so I think that's a part of the story of Nature Seekers and Age of Union. This is a 100 million year old species that's a real treasure for the world, and I feel it's our responsibility to make sure that people can see this species for many years to come, to protect it forever.
All right, I'm going to get both of your comments on response to this statement here as to the importance of this. This is the Minister of the Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries talking here. The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries looks forward to continued conversations with both the High Commissioner, the High Commission of Canada and Mr. De Silva to improve the sector and by extension Trinidad and Tobago. Let's get your response to that, Mr. De Silva, and then we'll hear from you, Suzanne.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of speaking to a number of ministers, and there's so much support and pride for the nature that Trinidad has. And we've been talking a lot about how through some of our efforts and through some of Nature Seekers' efforts, more people come to Trinidad to witness the natural beauty, to witness some of the success of this conservation. You mentioned earlier, Suzanne and team, converting a community from a poaching community to a conservation community. This is an inspiration for communities all along, coastal communities around the world. We need to see that. And I think that seeing the leatherback nesting season, seeing some of the laying of the eggs, it is a life-changing experience. It was for me, and many Canadians and folks from all over the world should be coming to Matura to go on the beaches and see this very, very impactful moment that we can all see as citizens of the world. I think it's something that we've spoken to the ministers. There must be more ecotourism to sustain some of this conservation work.
Okay, Suzanne Batista. So what your response is to because we also have sort of congratulatory and supportive notes from the Minister of Foreign Affairs as well as from the High Commissioner of Canada on it.
I want to say that conservation is everybody's business. It forms a networking partnership so we can actually do what we do best at the community level. We need the support of our government, generous and kind contribution like those from the Age of Union and so many other that support conservation. We cannot do this alone. It's a big fight to ensure that this species remain for all generations to view in its natural environment. We are happy that we were given this support because we can continue to learn so much more about this species. There's so much to involve our citizens, so much to continue to empower our local community members. So in a true sense, we are citizen scientists. We have learned so much and we are so happy to be able to share our information and to collaborate with universities